Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest here in Hungary. I hope everybody is having a healthy and productive week so far. In this class we are looking at IELTS Task 2, writing excellent Band 9 essays. That's the target. That's what we will talk about. Hi Bisser, hi Hina, hi Jainil. Good to see many of our members joining in on the class. While we wait for a few more of your classmates, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS success, visit us there. And for general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have loads and loads of great materials for you. Lots of members hopping in on class. Amir, Khyber, Michael, Maksud, Bekjan. Nice to see all of you joining in. Our websites look like this. This is our academic here with the blue background. Click that big red button to join our premium package. For the general, it's the green background. Click that red button to join there. If anybody has questions, you can always contact me at adrian@aehelp.com. For those students who like to work with hard copy books, you can get our books from Amazon. Just search for AE Helps Academic IELTS and GE Helps General IELTS for our exam books. All right, so task 2 right now for the members. This is a members chat class. You have to click the join button beside the subscribe button to become a member of our YouTube channel. But of course, everybody is welcome to watch and lots to learn. We will have an all chat class coming up in 90 minutes that will focus on the reading section. All right, now, I do believe that today's task 2 question was requested by Khyber. If I'm not mistaken, you might correct me, Khyber, as we look at it. So we'll get right into it. All right, you're sitting your IELTS exam, students, and you've finished the listening section, you finished the reading section, you finished task 1 of the writing section, and now you're on to task 2. Feeling probably a little bit mentally exhausted at this point in the game, so it's that much more important to go through the correct steps, follow the right strategy, and stick to your guns, meaning stick to your plan. Okay, you've probably been sitting in the exam room for, I'd say 2 hours and 20 minutes at this point. So mental fatigue is probably setting in a little bit, okay, which is totally normal. That's why having good practice before the exam and staying with the right strategy is so important. And then step 1, of course, is to read the question carefully. It's very dangerous to read quickly through the question, especially after you've done 2 hours and 20 minutes of exams already. Okay? All right. So let's do that. Let's read this question. It looks short and simple, but hey, it could be challenging. Let's see. IELTS Task 2 writing. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Nowadays, food has become easier to prepare. Has this changed, improved the way people live? All right, it's a very nice question. Thank you, Khyber, for submitting this one. And then, of course, the full question is give reasons for your answer using your own ideas and experience. All right. Hi, Hassan. Hi, Rajveer. Hi, Daniil. Write at least 250 words. Okay, cool. So, we've read the question. What do we do next? I'm going to do this a little bit where it's more our members giving us the right ideas. I'm just going to confirm the right ideas, and we'll move along. So what do I do next, everyone? What's my next step? Right away, as soon as even with simple looking questions like this one, it's especially important to do this. So Khyber says paraphrase. Yeah, paraphrase the question, right? Good luck, Angelina, in your exam. I'll keep my fingers crossed. I'm sure you'll do awesome. Just be yourself, be brave. You're a smart person. You'll do great. Okay? All right? And be specific with your answers, Angelina. So answer the questions specifically. Okay? Focus on the question topic, controlling idea. Answer it specifically. That's the key for you. Okay? All right. So we paraphrase it. So let's do that. Yeah, Rajveer, Hina, Michael, you're all right. Let's paraphrase this question. So I'm going to do that. You do that as well. All right. That's mine. I see a few others coming up as well. It's great. Abhishek says, nowadays meals have ended up simpler to prepare. Has this changed, advanced the manner of human life? Give reasons for your answer using your own ideas and experience. Very good, Abhishek. Very, very good. It's a nice paraphrase. I can tell that you prepared for the class. Fantastic. Okay. Kyber says, these days, human nutrition has become effortless to arrange. Has this change developed individual lifestyle? Okay, Kyber, it's not bad, but it's a little bit off. In this case, nutrition is not the same as food. Careful with that. So when you're paraphrasing, students, make sure that the synonym that you choose is accurate in the context. Okay, that's very, very, very important. That's where sometimes you might need feedback from a teacher or a native speaker to say, hey, does that work? Because in this case, Kyber, nutrition and food do not paraphrase each other well. Abhishek's paraphrase of meals is much better. In this case, in this question, Kyber, food is referring to a meal, something that we cook, or as you can see in my paraphrase, the dishes that we make. So it's prepared food. Nutrition, the definition for nutrition, Kyber, is more like the selection and types of foods that we include into our diet, like vegetables, fruits, vitamins, different kinds of proteins. It doesn't necessarily refer to the actual prepared meal or dish that we put in front of ourselves and others for dinner, supper, breakfast, okay? So you have to be careful with what you use to paraphrase. Word choice is definitely one of the trickier parts for many students to get those higher bands. So careful and always check, okay? Rajveer says, food preparation is an effortless job these days. Has this development made human lives better? Explain your reasons and include your own life views and examples. Very good. It's very nice, Rajveer. Very nice paraphrase. Beckjan says, these days it is straightforward to cook meals. Keep it a little, not sustenance is a bit awkward, Beckjan, but it's not bad. Cook meals. Has this alteration advanced the way individuals live? Okay, Beckjan, that's pretty good. That's quite close, okay? Good use of words and content. Dr. Krishna says, in recent times, culinary arts have evolved to become simpler, easier to achieve, Dr. Krishna. Culinary arts, I think, or culinary, culinary arts would be the clearest there. Simpler, I don't know about that, Dr. Krishna, because culinary arts have actually become more complex in many ways. We actually make more complicated dishes these days than in the past as well. So, has this made a difference in lifestyle? Give reasons and share your own experiences. That's, by the way, why I really liked this question, Kyber, and I decided to put it in for today's class because it's actually an interesting question. It seems quite simple, but there are quite a few elements to this question that make it a fairly tricky, okay, fairly tricky. So always go step by step. All right. Okay, Hassan, that's a good paraphrase as well. Janil, food has become simpler to make or simpler to prepare, not simpler to ready. That doesn't make sense. Okay. All right. Okay, let's keep going. So we have a good number of members now, which is fine, members. I'll keep looking at different people's feedback at different times, but we'll move on. This is my paraphrase here. These days, making dishes has become simpler than in the past. Has this development made individuals' lives better? Okay. Explain your thoughts with your own notions and background. That's what it's asking. Okay. All right. So what's my next step? So step 1 was paraphrase. Step 2, what do I do? Yeah, Abhishek, very good. So identify topic and controlling ideas, right? And here I'm going to hint clearly the topic and controlling idea or ideas. Sometimes there's multiple, of course. So what's the topic here? Members, what are we talking about? Okay. When you're identifying the topic and the controlling ideas, make sure that you're always using the original question. Okay. Always use the original question. Okay. Always. So let's go back to the original question. What's the topic? Very nice. So Amir says it's preparing food. Hina said it's food preparation. Rajveer says food preparation. Very good. Yeah. So food preparation. That's the topic. Absolutely. Okay. Very good. Nice. All of you who by the way, I know that many of our members, when they were new to this channel and new to our lessons, they had a really challenging time to identify the topics and the controlling ideas. And I can see that many of you are much faster and more accurate now to pick out the right controlling idea and the right topic. Am I right when I say that? Do you feel that? So do many of you feel that since you've been practicing this, the topics and the controlling ideas are more accurate and faster for you to identify? Do you feel that? Okay, so food preparation. Okay, try to create it as adjective noun rather than preparing food. Okay, so food preparation, that's better. Okay, cool. So I'm glad you're feeling that. That's really great. By the way, the reason that's so great is not just for IELTS, but also for university and for communication and business. That is essential to maximize your end results, your end goals. Okay, so that's great. I'm really happy about that. So the topic is food preparation. What's the controlling idea here? Because I think many students would make the mistake to think that it's about food for the topic, but here that would be a big mistake. So it's not about food, it's about food preparation. Okay, and what's the controlling idea? What is the controlling idea? Okay. Yeah, very good, Amir. So Amir says is simpler. Not necessarily, is it faster? Let's go back to the original question. Yeah, so the question here, it's not faster, Amir. Careful, it's easier. Okay? It might still take 3 hours to prepare a turkey, just like it did 50 years ago, but it's easier to prepare the turkey. It's not necessarily faster. So be really careful here with the qualifying words, okay? So it could be a part of it. You might be able to give an example like that later in the essay, Amir. But for now, definitely focus on the fact of easier. Don't change that, okay? All right, so is easier food preparation better for people, right? That's the controlling idea. So not easy, but easier because it's relative to the past. That's what we can assume from this question. Is easier food preparation better for people? Okay. That's kind of what the question is there. All right. So we'll go through the what, why, how. So the question is, as you should clearly identify, is what is food preparation? So what is that? What does that actually mean? Yeah, Rajveer, that's a good way to put that as well. Has recent development in food preparation improved our lives? Yeah. Turk Berry says, due to advancements in kitchen technology, has made the controlling quality of food prep has improvised. Careful, Turk, it's a little bit confusing. Watch your grammar and word form. Okay. So Daniil says the definition for what is food preparation is making raw products into edible dishes, right? Or meals. Okay. Yeah, so Rajveer says it's the process of preparing consumable dishes from raw ingredients. It's not materials. Careful, students. When you're talking about food, of course, as you know, in most languages, or maybe all languages, there's very specific words for food because food is such an important part of our lives. So you have to be careful, okay? So what is food preparation? Food preparation is the process of creating desirable dishes from raw ingredients. Okay, that's what I would say. Okay, and the next question is, why do we do it? Right? Makes us quite unique as humans. Not all living beings prepare food. In fact, humans are quite possibly one of the only living creatures on Earth that actually prepare food. So why do we prepare food? Doing this kind of what, why, how practice, especially at home before your IELTS exam, is extremely good to expand your thinking, your vocabulary. So it really helps for the overall process of becoming an excellent writer, not just in English, but in any language. Okay. Hassan says, we cook so we can survive. I don't think so, Hassan. I think if we're hungry enough, we could go out there and just start eating raw food, whatever we can get our hands on. So I don't know if I agree with you on that, Hassan, 100%. We could just pick berries and attack a fish in the river and chew it apart. I'm sure if we're hungry enough, we'd do that. So Hina says for eating or to survive. Michael Fan says to eat and to keep us energetic. Rajveer says to satisfy our hunger and to get required nutrition. Yeah, so some types of foods definitely would be difficult to consume in their raw form. A good example would be a potato, right? So eating a potato raw, maybe not such a good idea. But definitely to satisfy our hunger. So for pleasure and for nutrition. Nutrition is not necessarily the same as survival. Okay, survival would be one extra step. It would be kind of like to live for the next day. Survival, I don't think we need to prepare food, but to get all of our nutrition and in desired quantities and in a kind of way that we can enjoy, yeah, definitely we prepare food, right? Think about it. The more hungry you are, the less you prepare food. I don't know about you, but if I'm hungry enough, sometimes I just go at the fridge and grab a slice of cheese or a slice of cold cuts or something like that. So, for pleasure and for nutrition, let's say. Okay. All right, and how do we prepare food? Good. So now you're thinking, this is where visualization, of course, is really important. Yeah, Pooja says to delight our taste buds. Absolutely, Pooja. That's a nice sentence that could come in handy in the essay. Okay, so Kyber says using the microwave. Yeah, okay. It's more just warming up food in the microwave. We don't really prepare it, but let's say, okay, using the microwave oven, sure. How else? Rahul Preet says gas fire barbecue, so some kind of a stove, yeah. Glass top, the ceramic, right? Okay. Fry, bake, boil, sure. Bekjun, that's okay as well. Think about a broader concept as well. Yeah, so Angelina says by slicing, cutting, cooking, seasoning. Yeah, so the process of applying heat is one part of it, but also there are other parts to the process as well. So slicing, chopping, blending, mixing. Okay. Combining ingredients, cooling, right? Lots of foods that we have to put into the fridge and cool them down before we can eat them. So this is where you want to be as visual as possible. And I know some people are more into cooking than others, which is fine, but I don't think it would be honest to say that we're not familiar with cooking. So we've seen people around us cook, even if we ourselves haven't cooked. A lot of us have seen cooking shows, so we know that there's quite a few different steps or processes that go into the art of cooking or the culinary arts. Of course, it's an entire field of human employment. So lots goes into it, absolutely. Now we go on to the controlling ideas. So what would be, so here I'm going to leave it to you. What would be the first question to ask for the controlling ideas? So to get a good idea on this essay, to stay focused, and this is where questions become more important than answers. And I've said this a lot of times, students, that asking the right question is often much more important and oftentimes more difficult or challenging than giving the right answer. Okay? So what's the right question here? What's the best question? So Kyber says, has this improved our lives? Okay. So I'm going to number these. Okay. Michael says, why is it a better life? Bekchan says, does it improve the way people live? Okay. Okay, Rajveer says, why is easier food preparation better for human beings? All right. Maksud says, is it easier cooked than the last couple of decades? Okay. Abhishek says, what is easier food preparation better for people? All right. Hassan says, how does food preparation make people's lives better? All right. I'm going to stop there. Okay. So we've got 7 answers to my question, and they're all different, as you can see. And it looks to me like nobody's asking the exact same. Okay. So what's happening here? What should we do to get more clarity? What do I need to do? Okay. Definitely we want to find the right question here, and it looks like it's a bit of a challenge at this point. So what do we need to do? What do you need to do? What's your strategy here to figure out, okay, it's a bit confusing here at this point. I need to figure out the right question. Kyber, definitely don't start answering. If you start answering before you have the right question, it's really easy to go off track. So Rahul Preet says, read the question again. Sure, that's not a bad tip. We could do that, especially when it's such a short question, right? So nowadays, food has become easier to prepare. Has this change improved the way people live? All right, so we did that. Abhishek says, become the reader and the writer. So start to have that dialogue between the reader and the writer. That's very, very good, Abhishek. And it's no surprise that Abhishek actually is the closest to the right question. So Abhishek says, and I like that, okay? Abhishek says, ask yourself or become the reader and the writer. Have a dialogue about the original question. And of course, students, look at the controlling idea and return to the basic what, why, and how. Okay? So if we go back, we look at the controlling idea. So is easier food preparation better for people? Okay, so definitely the what has to come into play here. So what is easier food preparation, and why would that be better for people? That would be the 2-part question, right? And that would also be the question that the reader and the writer are asking from each other. So the reader would say to the writer, what is easier food preparation in the content of this essay, and why would you think that that makes people's lives easier or more difficult? And then you, as the writer, have to answer that, right? So if we go back to the list of questions that came up here when I asked what's the next question to ask, I think it was this one here that Abhishek asked. What is easier food preparation, and why is it better for people? That would be the secondary part of that question, okay? And that's the right idea, okay? That's the right idea. So let's go with that one. Is that clear, everyone? So there were a lot of different questions, but Abhishek was the closest. And when I asked, what should you do when it's confusing at this point, Abhishek gave the best answer right away. He said, become the reader and the writer and have that discourse, that dialogue. Okay? So very well done. All right? So the question is, what is easier food preparation compared to the past? Okay? Because you have to define that for your reader here. You have to define that for your reader. So what is that? Okay, what is easier food preparation compared to the past? Now give me an answer, and you'll see where we'll go with it. The reason to have the right ideas here and the right questions is because your essay is going to become much easier to write when you do that. Okay, so what is easier food preparation compared to the past? And this is where Amir, what you said before, you said it's why in some ways it's faster, right? So that could be it. Okay, so Pooja says microwave. Pooja, that would be the how. That would be your method, right? But the reason why you're saying microwave is because microwave is a faster method. And as Charlie Sen is saying after, it requires less physical effort. Okay, so it is faster. It requires less physical effort. Okay, what else? Because of course, again, remember that dialogue, right? You're having that dialogue. So quick to prepare, Hina, absolutely. Bekjan, you're answering more the why, how question. Okay. So reverse it here, right? So what is easier food preparation compared to the fast? It's past, it's faster, it requires less physical effort. What else? Don't mix the why and the how too much. Okay, so sure. Easier, that's very good, Rajveer. So easier or more convenient to get ingredients. Yeah, absolutely. So we have a lot more ingredients available to us a lot faster. Yeah, Hina, minimizing the time, that's all just faster still, right? So faster means less time, minimizing time. Abhishek says more delicious. I'm not sure about that, Abhishek, that it's more delicious. We're still focusing on easier. So how do you define easier? Remember to not just think qualitatively, but also to start thinking about quantitative as well. Okay. Other points that come to my mind are maybe something like less training needed. Okay. And more control over the process. So those are a couple ones that come into my mind as well. All right. And then the next one here would be why is, so the next question is why, what's the next question? Give me the full question. Okay, I don't want to give you this question. I've given you the start of the question. We already talked about it a bit. Let's see who remembers it. Okay, it's still remember the controlling idea of the original question. Why? So that's definitely enough. Okay, it's a 300-word essay, let's say, 250 minimum, right? So think 300. So these are enough points there. Yeah, so Hassan, exactly. Why does this make people's lives better? Yeah. Okay. Or worse, right? We don't know that yet, if it's just better. It could be worse as well. But the question is asking, so the original question is asking, has this change improved the way people live? So you could answer, yes, it has, or you could answer, no, it hasn't. Okay? Or you could answer, yes, in some ways it has, and in other ways it hasn't. That's another option here, but I'm not going to get too much into that, right? So keep thinking of the original question. So why does this make people's lives better? So how does it improve it, or how does it make it worse? Okay. So Rajveer says less cooking time. So saves people time, which can be invested elsewhere. Okay. Sure. Any other way? So Kyber, so usually students, one answer comes really easily, right? And I think for most of you, this answer is coming really easily. It saves people time, which can be invested elsewhere. So you can use that time for other activities, spend it with your family, do more projects, go exercise, etc. What else? So Janelle says to make delicious food and save time. Pooja says it's better with recipes available online. Saves energy. Charlie says safety. Okay, that's actually one, Charlie. Yeah, so safer, sure. That's a little bit of an odd one, I think, but it's one. Sure. All right. Now, when we're talking about the past, we're not necessarily talking about like thousands of years ago, Hassan, so going out and hunting. Okay. How many of you have tried Chinese dishes? How many of you have tried dishes from India? How many of you have tried dishes from Japan? How many of you have tried dishes from Thailand? From other cultures and cuisines around the world? Okay, so when it's difficult for you to think of all of the general ideas, start to think specifically, right? What do you do at home? How do you use modern technology in preparing food? What kind of foods do you eat? What kind of foods do you make? Okay, so think about that. Okay. So coming up with the right ideas will definitely help you. All right. So I would say it saves people time, which can be invested elsewhere. Cuisines. I'll just go dishes. All right. Okay. All right. So it also allows you to eat a broader range of dishes, okay, and potentially more nutrients. All right. So those are definitely some positives. Are there negatives to it as well? Maybe. Okay, I'm sure if we kept going down this rabbit hole, we'd come up with some negatives as well. So now, yes, Rajveer says people can try different cuisines. There's a lot of availability of ingredients, not like before. Exactly, Pooja. So in most parts of the world, and it's always developing, there's more and more ingredients available. There's more and more ability for people to quickly and easily make foods from different parts of the world using more advanced technology and more availability of ingredients. Absolutely. Okay, now there's still a question left here. So how do we prepare food in an easier way? And this is where a lot of your answers for the what would come in through the use of modern technology and the greater availability of ingredients in local stores. Okay, so that would be the answer there. All right, I want to move along a little bit. Okay, so there we go. All right, so let's get into it now. The next step is the thesis. Okay, from all of this, you should be able to create the thesis. So using this information, specifically the why from the controlling ideas, create the thesis statement, okay? Don't get lost, so go step by step. Again, remember what I said at the beginning. You've been in the exam for 2 hours, 10 minutes, 2 hours, 20 minutes at this point. So you really need to go step by step. Of course, the what, why, how, all of that is happening in your head during the exam. Okay, so Angelina, if you're still watching the class, remember that these what, why, how for the topic, what, why, how for the controlling ideas, that's all going on in your head. And I know you probably are familiar with that because you're in your post-grad studies. So that's going on very quickly in your head, but this is going down on paper, and that's your thesis. So once you've come up with this, and remember, your goal here is always to quickly write an effective essay that gets you a high band score. I think for this question, a lot of students would try to argue that the fact that it's easier to make food is bad for people, but I think that would actually be a difficult argument. Okay, so come up with your thesis. Okay, come up with your thesis. And again, when you come up with your thesis, have the original question in mind. Nowadays, food has become easier to prepare. Has this changed, improved the way people live? Okay, so give me the thesis. Has this changed, improved the way people live? Give me your thesis. I'm really looking forward to it. Khyber says, the primary development in human lives in food preparation is the invention of technological devices which can allow an individual to be involved in other everyday tasks. It's very convoluted, Khyber, and kind of confusing. I wouldn't consider that a strong thesis. A thesis should be very clear and very direct, where if 20 people read it, 19 of them should say, yeah, I have a really clear idea of what question you're answering and where you're going with this essay. Okay? So remember, the question is, has this change improved people's lives? Amir says, although some individuals believe that this has a negative effect on humans' lives, I think it's a positive development because it's safer and we can save time. Okay, it's easier. The question is easier. So safer, Amir, is maybe not the best one to go with here. It's a part of it, but I would only think about that if I'm writing like a 1,000-word essay here. Hassan says, despite the fact that food preparation consumes less time and energy nowadays, I believe that it has a negative effect on human health due to large amounts of calories consumed. Interesting, Hassan. That's a negative, but that's just one, right? So if you're going to go negative, I would probably go negative and positive. I can kind of see where you're going with it, Hassan. So you're going to write one paragraph on less time and energy, and the next one on more calories. That could work, Hassan. You're doing a two-sided, okay? So Bekjan says, personally, I think easier food preparation has improved people's lives because it saves time and energy. Yes, you could go with that, Bekjan. Time and energy are a little bit synonymous, but you could go with that. Rajveer says, the art of preparing food has become easier and it is a positive development of human beings as it saves time and energy and as well as expands the range of cuisines. That's what I would go with. So I would go with something that Rajveer wrote. So the process of preparing meals has become significantly easier than before, and this has led to a positive improvement for individuals as they are able to save time and experience cuisines. Okay, so that's what I would go with. That's what I feel would give me the chance at the band 9 that I'm looking for in 300 words. Okay, so the process of preparing meals has become significantly easier than before, and this has led to a positive improvement for individuals as they are able to save more time and experience more cuisines. Okay. And it's definitely a first-person essay, so we're going to stick with first person here, okay? All right, so there's a few different ways that we could go about this. And again, I think, Hassan, what you did is an okay approach as well, where you're saying it saves time and energy on one hand, so it's positive. But on the other hand, people are overeating because it's easier to prepare food, and that's a negative. So you could do that as well, and I think you could get a fairly good mark with that also. But I think that might be a little bit more difficult. Just my opinion, Hassan. But I think half of one, six of the other, okay? So half dozen, one, six of the other. I would go with this. I would just go with the positive sides. Has it been an improvement? Yes, it has, because of A and B. I wouldn't go on both sides there, okay? So let's stick with this kind of a thesis for practice purposes. Okay, let's come up with the hook. Okay, so when we come up with the hook, so we're going to get into the introductory paragraph here. Okay, and we're going to come up with the hook. The hook, I'll leave it up to you. Let's see what you come up with. Okay. Hina, you don't need to include into the thesis how it's become easier yet. That could be in the background of your introduction, okay? Remember, Hina, that the thesis is simply your answer to the question with 2 points, okay? Bekcan, food is the basic need of human survival. It's too general because remember, Bekcan, for the hook, you want to use the topic, okay? And these essays, they're 250, 300 words, Bekcan, so you want to be specific. So food is the basic need of human survival sounds like the topic is food, but that's not the topic. Don't forget what the topic is, Bekcan, okay? All right, Hassan says food preparation is an integral part of human life on a daily basis. That's much more accurate. Bekcan, do you see Hassan's hook, how much more accurate it is simply because he's using the full topic? So Hassan says food preparation is an integral part of human life on a daily basis. That's much more effective for this essay than saying food is the basic need of human survival. Okay. Khyber says the 20th century has brought with it many advancements. Khyber, that's way too general, okay? I need to see the topic in your hook. Okay, Rajveer says food preparation has been revolutionized in today's modern era. That's great. Yeah, absolutely. So Rajveer is also on mark because he's using the topic and he's sticking with this question in a much more specific way, okay? Students, it's so sad for me when I see IELTS candidates who obviously have a high level of English and they only get a band 6.5 or 7 because they're using these very generic kinds of ideas and sentences like the 20th century has brought with it many advancements. It's a good sentence, Khyber, but it's not a good answer to this question. So I can't give you a 9. I can give Rajveer a 9. I can only give that a 6.5. Okay? Pooja says, food preparation, it has always been an art. Okay, Pooja, it's not bad. You have the topic in there. I'm not sure where you're going with the art part of it, but okay. Abhishek says, food preparation is the art of living nowadays. Yeah. How about this one? Preparing food is a challenge most people face on a daily basis. That'll get you thinking, I think. Okay, so again, think about your own lives, right? So I'm sure that in your own life, when you wake up, when it comes supper time, at some point, most of us will have a moment where we go, what am I going to make today and how am I going to do it? Right? So even if somebody in our family cooks more than another, oftentimes, of course, it's the wife in many cultures, but even the men come to this challenge frequently enough to think, what am I making today and how am I going to do it? So from thinking about that, this is what comes to my mind. Preparing food is a challenge most people face on a daily basis. Do I need to go to the grocery store right now? Do I have all the ingredients? What do I got to do? Okay. All right. That's much better, Bekchan. Okay. And then comes the background, which will be your definitions and importance. And then will come your thesis. So I'm going to leave the background and the definitions and importance for you to do for homework for tomorrow. I'll do the same, and then we'll continue with the body paragraphs tomorrow. Okay, so there we go. An important point from today's lesson, students, be very careful with these questions in the IELTS where it seems really simple. Okay, so here it seems really simple. Nowadays, food has become easier to prepare. Has this change improved the way people live? Simple is not always easy. So careful with it. In this one, again, thanks, Kyber, for this question. It's a very good example of this, where you really have to be careful about the way you think through the question, especially after 2 hours of doing an exam in English. It becomes so much more important to visualize and go through the steps. Okay? Yeah, Hassan, that's exactly why I thought this was a great one. I think that's why Kyber sent it to me, because I think Kyber was working on this and he realized that, wait a second, this is a bit of a challenging question. It seems really simple, but it's quite challenging. So as long as you're going through the right steps, as long as you're able to have that writer-reader dialogue that Abhishek very cleverly identified, you can still do really, really well. Okay, never feel like I'm lost or I don't know what's going on. All right, we'll stop there for today, everyone, and we'll pick it up tomorrow from the body paragraphs. So finish up the introduction. We'll share the backgrounds with each other at the start of class just to get going tomorrow. Okay, for everybody who's watching, aehelp.com for academic IELTS. A lot of these strategies are discussed there in HD videos. For the general IELTS, gieltshelp.com, okay? That's where you'll find all of our materials for general IELTS. Thank you so much. Great participation, nice dialogue, members. That's really, really useful for development. And I'll see you in 30 minutes for some reading. Bye for now.